Hi, this is Savara from Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you a new technique using some glue and some heat. It's called the burnt paperback technique, and it was discovered by Arlene, the maker of the tacky glue, and she was testing out to see if her glue was fire retardant, and she discovered this technique. So let me go ahead and get started. I also gonna test it out. Now I do not have the original tacky glue. All the videos that I've been seeing on the internet has to do with using her original formula, her original tacky glue. I have Elmer's Glue, so I'm gonna test this one out. I got another Joran Craft Essential Real Deal Tacky Glue. It's not the Arlene, it's a different one, and it's actually more watery. It's very watery. So we'll use this one. Now we're going to show you that one. And then we have the real tacky glue from Arlenes. Now this is not the original. This is the thick designer tacky glue. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm also going to go ahead, before I get started, I also want to go ahead and show you what we're going to test out. We're going to test this rub. It's a gold rub. So we're going to test that, we're going to do that, and then I'm going to show you how the same effect but with some acrylic paint by Martha Stewart, some metallic paint. And then we have one from Folk Art. So there's 3 different companies. I want you to see the results so that way you can decide which of the ones you like. And then there's 3 different glues I'm going to also test so that way you can see which one works better. So for this, you're going to need a candle, and of course you're going to need a glue, and you're going to need some kind of shape. So I'm actually using this McGill Floriano shape. So I'm going to use this flower shape. But imagine butterflies will look very nice with this, arrows, anything will look very nice with this technique. So let's first test out, let me get another one because that one fell to the floor. Let's first test out the Elmers Glue. So I'm going to turn on my candle. And you need to, I just want to caution you, you need to do it in an open ventilator area. I got my fans going in here. And I have the door open. So you're going to need to, a light, a candle. And you need to do this in a well ventilated area. So I'm going to take my shape. Oh, and you're going to need a set of tweezers so you don't burn your fingers. So you're going to take your shape and then you're going to put a lot of this glue on there. Okay. And then I'm using my fingers to spread it. And I've been doing this so my fingers, it gets it's tacky with the glue and also with the paint. But that's okay. It all will wash off. Once I wash my hands, it will all come off. So you're going to put a thick coat of the Elmer's Glue. You put a little more. Now, because it is not very thick, it does run, so you don't want to put a lot that's going to run down your candle. But you want to put enough that it will bubble up and create your textures. So then I'm going to take my tweezers and use a pair of tweezers that you're going to use all the time for that technique because they do get a little destroyed, as you can see there. I don't think that's going to ever come out. Then hold your flower and then put your flower on the flame here. And notice that it's burning. And you move your flower back and forth, keep moving. And what you're doing is, what you're trying to do is you want to kind of crinkle up or bubble up that glue. And that's what creates the texture. And so you keep looking at it, see it's still shiny and there's still some white. You want the whole piece to be black with sud. So keep doing that. Moving your piece over the flame. And and usually it takes like 2 or 3 minutes for it. And then see how it's starting to like bubble up. Let me take it out so you can see it starts to bubble up. Now see that it cracked there? That still needs a little more heat. And see how it kind of it's bubbling up a little bit. And it's kind of hard to show this, but so you want to make sure that there's no, see how it's nice and dark? There's no glue whatsoever. So now you're going to take it, once you're done burning your piece, carefully remove and then remove your tweezers, and I'm going to burn that little piece there just because some of the top coat of the glue came off. Okay. Now what I've been doing is I'm taking a baby wipe, just a little bit baby wipe, and I'm just introducing a little more texture. I'm dabbing very gently on the piece because the bottom piece of this, the glue is still wet underneath it. It's just basically the top piece that it's what's creating that coating. And that is what gives it the texture, because the top piece of the glue it's burnt and it creates that layer, that coat. And the bottom, the inside of that coat, there's still some wet glue underneath it. So when you go back with your towel and you gently dab it, it creates the texture. So you gently dab to take off the sud, as much sud as you can. And see, and that's what creates that texture. See right there? That's what creates this texture. And you're going to set that aside to dry. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the Real Deal Tacky Glue from Joran Essentials. And see how it's kind of runny. It's not the same as the original tacky glue from Arlenes. It still will work. And I found that any kind of glue that you use, it'll still work. It's just if you use the tacky glue from Arlenes, you get a little more texture. But everything is working fine for me. So any kind of glue will work. Okay, so now I have that, and I'm going to bring back my flame. And let's go ahead, use my tweezers in a place that it's not going to disturb the pattern. And then you're going to burn it again, gently, quickly, not gently, but quickly moving your piece over the flame. And now this one has a little, notice that the texture is a little different. It's not the same. You get finer crinkles, a lot smaller bubbles than you do with the Elmers Glue. So you get like finer bumps than you do with Elmer. Okay. And so let me move this aside. Okay, so notice this one, how the bumps are, and then notice this one. See how they're a lot finer. Let me go ahead and dab off the sud, the soot. See how you see, so it's a lot finer. You don't get the real big bumps and ridges like you do with Elmer. So if you want just a fine kind of almost like dented metal, that will look good. If you want more design, more bumpy texture, bigger rigids, then you want to use the Elmer's glue. So you notice how different it is. This is the one with the Joran's Essential Tacky Glue, and this is the one with Elmer glue. And see how it's the texture is bigger. This one is finer. Okay, so now that we have those two, let's go ahead and try the Arlenes Thick Designer Tacky Glue. Very thick. I'm just going to get a big piece here. That's a little too big. And just spread it out with my finger. So there I have, and it's already with texture itself because it's just very thick glue. Let me go ahead and close the bottle. Okay, so now I'm going to take my tweezer, put it in an area that I don't think it's going to disturb much, and let's go ahead and start burning this. It's going to start bubbling up. That's what we want. It's creating that lovely texture. Making sure you move it. Okay. And I forgot to mention that you should have some water close by. I do have a bucket of water over here that if it starts flaring up, I can throw it in there. And again, you want it in a nice ventilated area. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So look at that one. Let me turn this off. I'll turn off my flame and see. Actually, that needed a little. No, I think it's okay. Now let me turn it on. It needs a little more here. Notice right here and there it's still shining. We don't want anything that shines. So notice nothing that shines, so I'm kind of going over it again. Okay, now we're done. So now, the next, I got glue still all over my fingers. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take a tissue paper or something and just dab it, introducing a little more texture and kind of getting rid of the sud at the same time. And that looks very nice. Look at that piece. That looks very, very nice. And this is the other piece. So you're going to let that dry. So let's go ahead and let it dry. And let's do the next part. So these are dry. This is the one I use with Elmer Glue. And this one's already dry. And make sure you remove any extra sud. Now, I am going to take some of my copper. Okay, using a semi-clean finger. Gonna take some of that Inca Gold rub and just rub it on the piece and see how it rubs nicely. It's still a little wet. I'm just impatient, but you want to make sure you leave it dry completely before you put some rub on it or some paint. But I just wanted to show you how nice the piece will look and the different coverage you get depending on what you use. If you're using this rub, acrylic rub, or if you're using paint. So when you use the rub, you see a lot more of the sud underneath, the blackened area. So you get more of that blackened area when you use the rub. Now let's go ahead and do this one, and instead of rub I am going to use some paint. I'm using folk art paint. Put some on my craft mat, and then with the paint you get more of a coverage because it can get into the grooves. You see a little bit of the burnt glue, but not as much. And then you can, if you want to see more of the burnt glue, then you can just wipe off the excess. So see the difference of that coverage when you use acrylic as opposed to when you use just a rub. Now let's go ahead and look, and now that was with the folk art. Let me show you how it will look. And let's see, this one it's a little more, it's a little drier, and this is the one that I used, actually this is the one that I used tacky glue. This is the one that I used the Elmer glue, and this is the one that I used with the real tacky glue. Okay. So let's introduce a little bit of gold. This is the Martha Stewart gold paint. And see how it covers more of the piece when you use acrylic as opposed to the rub. You can rub some of this off if you like. But you get a finer, you really get into all the crevices, and you get, and with that glue, with the tacky glue, you get very fine ridges, like if it was dent metal. So let me go ahead and paint this one. Okay, so now did not let it dry good enough, but if you let it dry, you won't have to worry about peeling the glue. But there's the other piece with the Elmer glue. Okay, so that's with Elmer glue. And then the last bit that I want to show you is I wanted to give it a little sparkle. And see how that sparkle? You've seen some of my homemade Glimmer Glam. So once it's dry, then I go over the piece with a paintbrush. And this is a solution of this is just glassy medium with glitter. That's it. I filled the cap up with the glassy medium, and then I just put enough glitter in there so it'll be nice and sparkly. So I mean, no measurement, it's just basically just put how much you think you want on there. If you want it very glittery, then you put a lot of glitter. If you just want slight glitter, then just put a less. So just put it on the piece like that, and then allow that to dry. So that's going to give it a little bit of glitter, a little bit of shine, because it is glassy medium, so it'll have that nice little shine, and it'll look very nice on your project. So I hope you like this tutorial, and thank you for watching. Bye now.